What are you going to do with all your money when you grow up? Me? I'm going to buy an $800 statue of a man hanging from a tree, skinned, naked. As the Extreme channel is pushing towards 50,000 subscribers, these are just a few of the statues we're giving away on the journey there. If you want to know how to win one, stay tuned for later in the video. Hey everybody, welcome to the Extreme channel. Today is an unconventional video as I'm standing up and I'm reviewing a statue that's not meant to be a standalone statue, but look at this thing. It really could be, especially if you're into some funky shit. So this is actually made by Prime One Studios. This is meant to be a companion piece for this Predator statue right here that I've reviewed. You can actually check it out. Now both of these are from the Dark Horse comics. Yes, believe it or not, Predator is very existent in the comic books as well as on film. Now in pop culture, he's more widely associated with the films. However, the comics are fantastic. Now this guy is in the jungle because that is the Jungle Hunter. Again, not from the film with Arnold Schwarzenegger, but from the Dark Horse comics. So this is 1/4 scale, meaning a real life tree. A naked bloody man would be 4 times larger. So today we're going to do an extreme review on this guy. We're going to look at paint, sculpt, concept. And I gotta say, there's definitely some flaws with this where I think Prime One Studios missed the ball, but I absolutely love it. So let's talk about why, kicking it off with concept of this piece. Now what you see is what you get. There's no hidden meanings or anything of that nature, but you have a jungle base. On the base they have rock and gravel and moss, and obviously all this vegetation coming out. The vegetation is plastic. We'll talk more about that. Then you have a tree. I'm not a dendrophiliac, so I don't know what type of tree this is, even though I do find it a little bit sexy. Moving up the tree, you see the classic scene from Predator where they skin their victims, they hang them. This guy is a bloody mess. He was just skinned. You saw some of the blood down on the base below. There's ivy and vines all around it, and a lot of that you can choose where you place, which we'll talk about during design. But he's just sitting there hanging. This is a really cool piece. I'm shocked how much I like the concept of it, even though I knew what it was. It's simple, and it's meant to pair with that other Predator. Now, if you want to see what he's going to look like next to that other Predator, I'm moving my entire Predator Alien collection to the office. Make sure to check out the Extreme Channel Instagram, Facebook page, and TikTok as I post exclusive content on there. So with Prime One Studios, I got to give him props. This is going to be a fantastic addition. I can't wait to see what he looks like. Once I put it next to him, I might be able to grade the concept a little bit higher, but for now, it's a 4 out of 5. Design. Not horrible, but not the best. Definitely some issues. So let's start with the unboxing and assembly. The box was huge, as you would expect it to be. It also had a great amount of weight, and that's probably for the base so this thing doesn't tip over. But it was your standard white foam. There were 2 levels or layers. You can see right here.
You're hit. You're bleeding, man. I ain't got time to bleed.
Alright, so a couple crazy things. First of all this hanging vegetation, you can pretty much put it where you want. These vines were a little bit tricky to figure out which goes in where, these sculpted vines. And then you have the vegetation, just like the Predator statue, that sticks in the bottom. There are 2 holes here, but none of it stuck in there really well. I just couldn't get it to stay in.
That's what she said.
But there's almost too much foliage in my opinion. Let's get the dimensions on him. If this is the front, we're going to say that it is 16 inches wide on the base. And the tree gives you another 7 inches or so. The deepest point is right about 20 inches. And of course, what we need to know, the tallest point is just under 42 inches. So this may be the tallest non-life-size statue that I own. I had to get really creative with the shelving, I'll tell you. So there's no switch outs. They did a decent job at hiding the seams. They're still evidently there though. You can see some on the vines right here. But the big part are the hands. So the hands were separate pieces and it almost looks like they're gloves. Big miss in my opinion. I'm sure they did that for breakage reasons, but I would have rather them found a better way to pack it than have that right there. And also the foliage, I don't know how to do it better than this. And I don't mind it. It's not horrible by any means. So one other thing too, you see the ropes up here. The ropes are just for decoration. When I first looked at the instructions, it looked like you actually had to tie them up by the ropes. You don't. He actually keys in at the top here. So for that reason, I give him a lot of props for engineering. This is a very elaborate concept, very elaborate piece, and I think they pulled it off. So I think it's a 4 out of 5 on the design because I gave them extra points because it is so elaborate. Paint and sculpt, Prime 1 rarely disappoints. There's definitely some stuff that they could have done better on this, but I like it overall. Check it out. So I do want to say one thing. I started filming like right away, and I never really looked at the front of his torso. I'm not a fan of some of that. We'll come back to that. But here the base, it looks decent. I think like the tree roots growing out of the ground could have been better. Some more differentiation in them with the sculpt from the ground. I like the moss effect they added. I think it looks pretty cool. And even the stones over here. Does really give you that jungle vibe. The blood doesn't look bad, especially for dripping blood. Some of it fresh, some of it dried already. Little details like that I think are pretty cool. The foliage, it looks better than it feels. So let's put it that way. It feels very fake, very plasticky. The hanging ones especially. But down here, this looks decent. And I think I said the same thing with the actual Predator piece. So I think they did a nice job in it. It gives it a little bit of color, so I like that. Makes it pop. I'm not a fan of the tree. I think this is where Prime 1 Studios failed. I've seen some fantastically done trees on statues before, whether it's like ARP, Clash of Powers, a Sabertooth custom piece I have, and it just doesn't look like real bark or a real tree. And even like this vine, almost, I don't want to say lazy a little bit, but it's just not the best. So I think Prime 1 Studios dropped the ball on that. The rope is rope, by the way. But I think it does its job because when you're looking at this guy, you're immediately going to the naked man without a penis. See, they stole his penis trophy. It's on Predator's necklace now. So I think the tree's almost an afterthought because what you're looking at is this guy. And honestly, he looks better from the rear than he does from the front. But the blood effect looks great. I love how it glistens. I think they did a really nice job on that. Really makes you feel he was just done. You see the muscles and tendons and even some of the veins, some of the darker blood areas that have pooled up. The skeleton, like even in his feet. I'm not a fan of this front part right here, where the guts are in the middle. It just looks weird. It looks fake. It'd been cool if there was like a hole in him. Maybe the Predator used his shoulder cannon and blew a hole right through the middle. But the physique is nice. This is a very athletic guy. And even the portrait looks good. Like I said, it's really makes me think of like those anatomy exhibits you can go to. Again, there's those gloved hands, if you will. Let me try and flip them around really quick here for you. And here's what I was talking about earlier. I think the back looks better. And I am an ass man, so that makes sense. Usually I like them on Mrs. X, though. But a lot more detail into that. And it's a shame because it's the back. This one, unless it's a centerpiece for you, you won't actually see it. So I definitely think some pros and cons in this, for sure. I think regarding the sculpt, it's a solid 3 out of 5. I think that's where the tree is lacking a little bit. The paint, though, I think a little bit better. I think I'm going to give the paint a 4 out of 5 on this piece because they did a great job with the victim. Some of the cool stuff in the base. Colors really pop. All right, so value. Is this worth it? They made 350 of these. Not many, and I believe they made a couple thousand of the Predator. It's retailed at $800, but I believe if you bought both from Prime 1 Studios, you got $200 off, so that's not bad. And this is a lot for what you get. I mean, this is a 1/4 scale piece, but it's almost the equivalent of a 1/3 scale or a big diorama. I think the value is pretty good, honestly. I think given all those factors, I think this will be sought after. There's so many different Predator creatures. This can go with any of them. While the base semi-matches the Jungle Hunter, the Dark Horse one we're talking about, it can go with a lot of other ones. So I think the value is a 4 out of 5 on this, possibly even a 5 out of 5, but I don't think they're sold out yet, so I don't want to go that far yet. Now, does this have the X factor? Is this a 5 out of 5 statue? You know, I didn't really talk about this in design, but the displayability is a little bit tough. I have to have it on a bottom shelf, which I don't know how it's going to look. On the table, it looks fantastic. But I really like it. I would say this does have the X factor. And like I said, I would even get this just to get it. I mean, a bloody, naked, skin man, I mean, that's good for anybody, right? What do you guys think? Am I overrating this? Am I just too big of a Predator fan? Let me know in the comments. And the reason I ask you to comment is because of this. We will be giving all of these statues away, plus additional ones at every 5,000 subscriber milestone. To win one of these statues, all you have to do is make sure you've liked this video, you've subscribed to the channel, you've hit that bell notification, and then just drop a comment below. Every 5,000 subscriber milestone, we are going to do a random drawing and pick a random comment and give one of these statues away, plus some additional ones I'm not showing right now. The more videos you comment on, the higher your chances are to win. So thanks so much, guys. I really appreciate it. Make sure to check out some of these other videos. Also, for future videos to come, hit that picture of me, hit the bell notification, and I'd really appreciate it if you drop me a like on your way out. Take care.